Hi everybody, welcome to CSA chapter Cyber.AI Insights and Power of Knowing Forums, Knowledge Nexus, Tech that moves you, ideas that scale you. And we are on the topic of discussion with Think You Are Safe, the truth about cybersecurity in personal and corporate worlds, your go-to podcast on tech, cybersecurity, strategy and growth. I am Prem Kumar AS, and today we are exploring cybersecurity in personal and corporate worlds. A special thank you and welcome to all tuned into Bangalore chapter and Power of Knowing Forums collaborative podcast, episode 244, live on LinkedIn. We have the honor of Tarun Malhotra, founder and managing director, CyberCop Cybersecurity, IT Security, HIPAA SOC compliance consultant, a CISA certified auditor, and he's joining us today. Let's welcome our esteemed speaker to our podcast event. Hi, Tarun. Welcome to our podcast. How are you, sir?
Hi, Mr. Prem. I'm good. Good evening.
Good
So,
evening.
how are you?
Good, sir. Tarun, a small intro about yourself and
Mhm.
your journey on this cybersecurity space and cyber cops, what you're doing and stuff, which can help us, our audience, to gain more insights about what you do in the cyberspace, Tarun.
Yeah, sure. So, my name is Tarun Malhotra. So, I'm a founder of Cyber Cops. So, we found this organization, Cyber Cops, in 2022. And so, we are basically we are running like three different verticals. One is we are a cyber compliance auditor, like compliance like HIPAA, GDPR, SOC 2, or NIST framework. So, we do audits and provide security certifications to the organization. Second vertical, we running a SOC center, security operations center, where we monitor client network 24/7. Because risk is as experts say that we are 99.9% secure. Probability is always there. So for that, SOC is always required to be monitor the things. So and the third thing is we are also working on like IT infrastructure and the cloud infrastructure to make it secure and safe by deploying various devices like Palo Alto firewalls or EDR, XDR. So we are also expert in that.
Okay. Uh, Coming to our questions, let's talk on some of the pointers that we want to look at. What does it truly mean to transform compliance from a checkbox activity into a company-wide culture?
Okay, so basically, basically cybersecurity is some or a compliance a culture to be followed. It's not something just checkbox to be tick or make things align, because it's a cat and mouse race. We have to follow the things accordingly, regular basis to make our infrastructure compliant and safe. So when we do audits in organizations, so it's not only talk about not talk about like IT team. So
Hmm.
cybersecurity compliance start with HR, admin, then management, and then IT team. Because a single link click can be a disaster, can be a issue for the organization, can be a ransomware attack, can be malware attack, can be spyware. And hackers always try to find out the weakest point, and weakest point can be HR department, admin departments, and they are most targeted. If they are most targeted for the spam spoof emails. So that's why it's need to be culture to be follow, started by the HR, because when some like employee joins the organization, so it's HR duty to be make a induction program according to align with the like cyber security or the cyber policy like program with the organization. Then it's moved to the admin department. They should also have to be, make sure that physical safeguard will really align, physical safeguard of the data of the production and the floor and all. And then move to the IT team to make the firewall, EDR, XDR, and endpoint to be configured appropriately as per the cybersecurity or compliance, whatever compliance they're following. It's HIPAA, GDPR, or high trust, or SOC 2. So that's depend, and that's a culture to be follow with each and every department. It's a shared responsibility. It's not only just to be a IT team to click a checkbox and just making sure the firewall is aligned, or endpoint EDR working fine. But if a single link clicked by the any other department can be an issue for the organization.
No, absolutely true on that. Every weak point or a weak chain can cause a issue in cybersecurity.
Yeah.
Where does the most organization flatter while trying to implement uh, data privacy frames like GDPR and DPDP? Tarun?
Yeah, so like compliance framework like HIPAA or GDPR, like which is related to the PI data or PHI data. If it's a personal identify information of any, yeah, like European Union, or if maybe any American information in form of PHI. So now the thing is that when companies get a business in India or anywhere, and they will get the this PI and PHI data, out of their nation. And if the data is coming to the another nation or geographical out of the geographical boundary of European Union or the American, like US entities, so then the compliance will applicable on the data. It may be a GDPR, it may be HIPAA, it may be any other like PDPL like for the Middle East and other countries which follows those compliance. So if the data is there, so most of the company, they are getting data, but they are not defining the data retention policy, data classification to manage that data. If the companies are getting data in the form of PHI, PAI, then there should be a policy and procedure which is guided to their operation manager, their teams. If the data is not required, if the work is done, they need to be shred the data. They have to clear the data. They have to remove the data from their network. Most of the time we'll found companies are unable to manage their data, and data residing in different location in their desktop, in the users folders, or sometime in file servers. So when the compliance is, when company want to make a compliant and they want to follow HIPAA or GDP or any other regulatory law, then they have to regulate the data should be ID team and the operation manager. Then have to keep an eye on the data. Where is data is going to be stored? If a single data is on any unwanted location, can be a breach, can be a breach of a law according to the regulatory compliance. So that's why companies are unable to make the policies according to data classification, data retention policy, which is required to define data, where to store data, and whenever to keep the data on the location of the server, and when to clear the data from the servers or the desktop or the whatever they were saving on.
Got it. Got it, Tarun. So now looking at data being the center part of or the organization, data has to be, as you rightly said, we have to collect data, see how it is stored and stuff. Now, how should companies balance innovation and speed with privacy and compliance in today's data-driven world?
Right. So for that, they have to be defined, the policy and the, as I said like earlier, it's a culture to be followed. If it's a data driven like organization, data is a new fuel to the business. Data is everything. If data loss, it can be a big disaster, it can be a reputation damage for the organization. And the speed of the way we are getting data from our clients to get the work done, for that each and every department need to be trained to work on that data. Training is very much important. Employee can be a first line of defense to protect from any kind of attack, any kind of data breach. If they are aware, they can save the company reputation and company any legal aspect from data driven things. If data is coming to the people or the employees to work on, so if they are aware, they are well trained, and they know the regulatory compliance and what company policy says about that data, so they have to manage the data accordingly, they have to store data accordingly, and they have to clear data accordingly. And in case of any breach, it should be responsibility of the each and every employee to report the incident manager in the organization. Incident should be reported, and from that incident it should be learned lesson by the team and the organization, and that should not repeat. That is something need to be aligned with the policy procedure. Incident management is one of the things.
Now, coming to next pointer that I want to look, can you share one moment where uh, in the compliance mistake became a valuable learning for us in one of the implementation or one of the project that you've been working?
Yeah, definitely. So like when we do a HIPAA compliance audit, so we will, so our all focus is on PHI, because PHI is very much important if it's residing in the network. So they'll suppose if it's 100 employee company, or 200, 500, or 1,000. So the probability is going to be store PHI on that much of resources or the systems. So in that case, we have when we do our auditing and we found the PHI was clear from, like from the file server, they are maintaining the retention policy accordingly, and we have seen that they have maintained the Active Directory and group policies are aligned, and there is nothing to be stored on the user systems. Once they have reboot, they have batch file configured, so everything going to be clear with that in reboot of the system. But they have just forget that users are also sharing their PHI data to the client or within the department on emails also. And emails was containing, the retention policy was 3 months, but emails were containing PHI for more than, like year, which can be a questionable thing. One, a PHI residing on the email, which can be accessible maybe outside of the office, and that can be a come under breach. So then we have learned that we have to check all the aspects, like not only the server, not only the the workstation, but the emails, but the chat. If they have a chat software, they're sharing some PHI information, sensitive information on the between the chat and the employees, between the employees. That should be regulated, should be controlled. Because if any username, password, or any suppose the SSN number of the US citizen or European Union person, some contact or the address is shared, that should also be shared accordingly, that the 3 months retention policy within the emails, within the chat, and other aspects also. That is something, because all the compliance is like move around the data. Data is everything. If you talk about GDPR, if you talk about HIPAA, if you talk about CCPA compliance or PDPL compliance, so they all talks about the data. Data may be and any personal information and sensitive information, and that need to be safe and secure with various aspects. So as an auditor, we have like our responsibilities to we check each and every aspects of the infrastructure, that wherever is the PHI is going to be stored, we have to be raise a red flag to the client or the entity, that you have to maintain the data according to your retention policy and keep the data clear, else you can be come under breach, where in terms of there are hefty fine penalties are there. So HIPAA says that if they have breached the compliance, there is $1 lakh fine and 7 years of imprisonment also is there. So that kind of sensitive data we are working on, and we have to be checking each and every aspect of data stored.
Now, as you started with the session where we said one can be a weak chain, right? So how maybe one department can become a weak chain. How do we look at cross functional teams to be enabled and they share a common goal, like legal, HR, IT? How do we enable them for
Okay,
cybersecurity?
yeah. As I told you initially, that it's a shared responsibility. It's not only IT team job. So hackers always try to find out the weakest chain or weakest link in the organization. So it start with the awareness programs. If we go for any compliance audit, ISO 27001 or any regulatory compliance. So the security training is a mandatory nowadays. The
Yeah.
compliance training is a mandatory part of the the ongoing process. And and client always ask for, when is your employees get trained on the any kind of spam spoof identify, training, or do you are running any spam spoof campaign within your organizations to get them aware about how to identify the phishing link or any, kind of malware attack if you get some, unknown source emails. So then, as I said, like, it's a ongoing process, so training is required. And if we are aware, we are safe. If people are aware
Hmm.
about the scams, so that they can save the organization, they can save themselves also as a personal security, if I can say. you know because hackers or the scammers, they are changing the mode of operandi. Sometimes we'll get like digital arrest is one of the example. So but now, why people are getting, played with a digital arrest, or like scam like jump deposit. So they are playing with our psychology. Hackers always play with psychology. They will create urgency. Do it right now, right away, else you have consequences. Your bank account will suspend, or you will be electricity connection will disconnect tonight. Or there is a fear factor. Fear factor example is digital arrest. you know so, and when one and another, the big factor is a greed. When someone tries
Hmm.
to send emails to the employee and sending, okay, you will get the iPhone in just 12,000 rupees or 10,000 rupees. A greed factor. So I have, as a cyber cops, we got lots of call where people say, sir, we are victim of cyber scam, so please help us. So most of the time people are, they are losing their money because of greed. And if suppose, if some any ransomware attack happen in an organization, as we have faced, we have got some calls in previous, organization. So where employee has got email and they have some discounted thing, and they just click on the link, and then link has converted, the encrypted the data, and it was a ransomware attack.
Hmm.
So that is something we have to be think about. That's why I'm saying, if we are aware, we are safe. Nothing comes free in life. If something come to us in a discounted way, or in they are giving some in, very hefty, like discount on the products, that can be a scam. Or maybe making up, people are losing their money because of making the money double.
Yeah,
These are
that's a big scam that is going on nowadays, where people are told you can double your money in investment. That's one big thing that is going on, and there are a lot of issues that we are seeing. Uh,
yes.
what are some of the common blind spot companies face even after being compliant on paper?
Yeah, so the one thing is that company think about, we are compliant, we got certified, we got get certificate, we got certified, so we are okay now. Let's have a rest, no worry. But no, it's they are compliant for today's date, till date. But after 1 week, there may be a issue, because it's a cat and mouse race. It's a, kind of our daily job, to be monitor the things. If
Hmm.
a security patch is not got update for your Windows, it's a vulnerable. If it's your firewall is this, maybe release a new patch or new version of their firmware, if it's not updated, it's a vulnerable. So if the company think that if they are certified, they are compliant, and they are okay, no, from there they start to sustain that compliance. One is to achieve the compliance, another is to sustain that compliance. To sustain the compliance, they have to follow the protocols, they have to follow the policy procedures, get the patch update, get the, internal audits, get to check their, firewalls, their, what all links they have open, the whitelisting and blacklisting of the, the URLs. I've seen most of the time the firewall is not properly configured.
Hmm.
Company have firewall, and they say, when we go for audit, they say that we have firewall, we are safe. But when we check the firewall, we found most of the time, the unwanted URLs are open there, which are sometimes nmap site, or nmap.org was open. Sometimes the hacking sites are opening there, or Kali Linux, or maybe social media accounts and all. So if company or business is not required, not recommend to open these kind of sites, so just block it. Only allow the links which you have to be open in the, for the business purpose only. That will make the, make you more safe and compliant. And
No,
yeah.
no, you made a very important point where we talk about saying mm, data has to be kept in a proper way, how it is to be managed, how you should know what is the ports that are to be allowed in the firewall and
Yes.
stuff. Now, coming
I,
from a
I I want to add one more thing.
yeah, go ahead.
Most of the time, when we do audits or when we check the security parameter, most of the companies IP address, public IP address is listed on shodan.io.
Hmm. Okay.
Shodan.io is a database where hackers try to find out all the IoT devices, and if they will see, and Shodan.io will show everything, which all ports are open, which are the SSL you have applied, what kind of vulnerability you have, even CVE they will mention there. So firewall is configured, but the public IP is exposed, open. The ports are open. Hacker can see the active things and they can do a brute force attack. They can do any kind of SQL injection attack, and they can compromise firewall also sometime, maybe through VPN and some other things.
Now, how should startups or MSMEs approach data privacy without large compliance budgets?
Okay, so like for us, sometime, yeah, because we get questions for the from the companies. They says we are a small company. Do we require the compliance? Do we require the cyber security? Yeah, each and every business requires cyber security nowadays. Because you know now, as I told you, data is a new fuel to the business. If
Hmm.
data loss can be a big reputational damage for the organization, can be a business, maybe client can take off the project also. you know so, and if the small company or big company, every company has firewall, every protection, every company has servers deployed. Maybe they have Active Directory, they have GPO, or maybe they have Linux, open LDAP based on the things. So all these things are already there with the small companies also. You know, just to make the align those things, the firewall, EDR, XDR, or their Active Directory, and there is group policies to be make the data safe and secure, and just a regular practice of do patch update for their Windows, for their Linux, for their firewalls, and to make a protocol. They can also follow a NIST framework. NIST is an open platform framework. They can study NIST framework online, and they can try to implement all these five principle there: protect, detect, and respond and recover, identify also. Like these five principle, they can, their IT team can get learn the things. They can maybe do a third party audit first time. They call somebody from expert, do first check or audit within their budget, and just start following the protocol and make the culture in their small organization also to protect them from any kind of hack or any kind of scam.
Now, coming to some of the myths that I want to understand, or what could be one of the biggest myth where people think privacy compliance and wish people know more when they talk about what is privacy and compliance. What one big myth you think could be where people are unaware still?
Yeah, so uh, basically, most of the time people think about, first of all, when as I have seen, most of the cases, people are still unable to understand what is cybersecurity, what to do in cybersecurity. They think about there are some hacker, outside black hat hacker. They are trying to do attacks, on our network. We have to safeguard, but how to do safeguard? Still a question.
Mm.
So, and most of the time, when, as I told you in your previous question, I have given the answer that when company or the organization get compliant, so they will think about we are compliant, we are safe. That
Mm.
is a myth. You are safe till then that day when you get the certificate, or you are the compliant on that day. But next day, if your security patch is not updated, it may be a attack on that. So, um, yeah. So that's why I all
I
yeah.
was I wanted to add one point. When we were talking in one of another podcast
Hmm.
session, what we there was one CEO with one of the speaker who asked, uh, "Do you think are we
Hmm.
safe?"
I always say, yeah, yeah, please.
So
Mm.
then, what the answer of that CISO was that to current thing we are not, with what we have is what we do, but what is coming we are not prepared yet. So we have been prepared to a stage where we are compliant to the technologies that we
Yes,
know. Unknown still
yes,
exist, right? So that's the point that the speaker was telling about his question when the CEO asked them. So we are not safe all the time. We are vulnerable at any point. We still have some of the loops. New technologies are coming up. New uh, threats are looming every day,
yes.
right? So you can be secure till the time you know what you're blocking to. Unknown still exists. That's what was the pointer that the CISO explained, the CEO.
Yeah,
Your
yeah.
take.
So as I told you initially when we started this conversation, we are 99.9% safe.
Hmm.
We are not 100% safe. I
Yeah, there
Yeah,
always has always been a place where there you can still be
yes.
vulnerable.
I'll give you a small example. Like, as you have started with the personal security too, we are going to discuss about. If a person get a security patch update for their iOS and Android phone, if the phone is not updated, it's vulnerable. you
Hmm.
know because the thing is, whatever application is written till date, if it's a iOS or OS, it's written by some developer, and hacker want to crack that, and vendor want to make it more secure. That's why they release security patches.
Yeah.
If we are not updated with the security patch, it may be a 0-day exploit. It may be some hacker has found out the vulnerability in particular thing. So till the day the security patch is not updated in any phone, any device, it's vulnerable. It can be hackable. It can be easily compromised state. And most of the time, when I go for these conferences, and when we talk about personal security, so sometimes people say that, sir, we have seen the cases where like people have not disclosed their OTP, but still they have lost the money. How? I told them it because the device may be compromised. when s- it may be single click can be a issue for the person, because
Yeah.
when we drive a car in a road, we see red light, green light or yellow light, and right and left. But when we do a surfing on the digital, in internet or digital world, we never see where we are clicking on, where what we are opening it. A single link can be something malware can be installed behind the scene in the device, can be a laptop, can be in the phone, malware, spyware, and they are programmed. So if they program design like AnyDesk or the TeamViewer to see the remote desk of other person, so there may be a hacker can design some program which you can click and can install in your mobile behind the scene, and hacker can see all your screen and activity. And these are the kind of cases that happen, and we have seen a lot of cases these type thing, where girls called me and say, sir, somebody morphed my picture and they have got my all contacts, my
Hmm.
photographs and every data from my mobile, and they are now blackmailing me and asking 50,000 rupees. She said, how this happened? When we investigated, found that she installed one loan app, free loan app, and
Hmm.
that connected through some, and she started getting call from Pakistan, and they're blackmailing her. So she clicked on the link or installed some application where she give the consent to their
Yeah.
photograph, because when we install any application, ask for the consent. Yes to your photograph, yes to your camera, yes to your gallery, yes to this, and we still give the permission.
Yeah.
So these
Yeah.
are the things people are not aware about. They are getting scammed.
From your industry experience, how have global privacy regulations shaped business strategy?
Okay, so like now if we talk about the various compliances like HIPAA or GDPR or CCPA compliance or PDPL, Personal Protection Data Law, or DPDP Act, which is we are going to come soon in India also. It's
Hmm.
passed in Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. So we are waiting for the final implication of this DPDP Act in India, where we have 250 up to 250 crore rupees fine,
Yeah.
because the country want to stay the data within their geographical location, and that's why they made this compliance and the privacy acts. And these countries, that's why put the implication of the fine and the the like like punishable offense also sometime, in and imprisonment and all, because nowadays data is very much important. If it's a citizen data, if you talk about Aadhaar card, PAN card, right now we don't have law. But if the law will come implement on the India also, so anybody who's going to be work on our data, because right now somebody asks for the PAN card, Aadhaar card will give easily.
Yeah. Now there are places where we have taken Xerox, and if it is not come properly, we leave the copies there and we have come out. So
Yeah,
that's also what we have done in earlier cases. But the DPDP, I think, will have that kind of a security which will happen, is what my understanding is. Your take on it,
yeah.
Tarun?
So this is another thing, because we don't have compliance, we have our data is scattered and data is everywhere. So scams are in rise. After DPT Act, we may see, I mean, it's going to be in controlled way, because the legal applicability of the fine to up to 250 crore is going to be imposed on the, data fiduciaries. There's going to be data fiduciary, data principal, and the concerned manager. So if data fiduciary who are collecting our data is not maintaining the data according to the law, so they can be punishable under the DPDP Act. So that's why, data stay at the national border is very much required, and that's aligned with the privacy to be follow, and as a culture in the, like in the geographical way in the country level. Then zero trust is also very much important. Zero trust is
Absolutely.
the new terminology, and it's a basically not a technical thing, but it's a culture. It's that which says that, like, don't trust, always verify.
Yeah.
Even if it's your CEO ask for some information, don't trust on that email or the message. Always call him back. Sir, you send me email, you send me message, do you really require this information? Because there
Yeah,
are
there
cases.
was
Yeah.
one one discussion which we had part of our CSA summit last year, where
Mhm.
we had the cybersecurity head of Bangalore joining us on a session where we spoke about this, because what happens in a cybersecurity pointer which he was talking about was the
Mhm.
crimes are not reported. That's the first point. The second point is
Mhm.
most of the time the call is coming to you with a known person. Always have a check, is what we were told. Because I got a call about a month back saying that I am in a conference, can you send me some Amazon vouchers and I
Mhm.
need this. Then I asked him, anyway we are in a conference, can you share your this one? Then I called him and he said, I'm nowhere in a conference.
Mhm.
So please verify, as what Tarun is
Yes.
saying also is, you verify the authenticity of that message or mail or a transaction which is coming in for you, because lot of spams are coming in that sort, right? So that's a pointer that Tarun is saying. Zero trust is one way of looking at, you don't trust anything and that is coming to you straight. So you authenticate, there is no trust which is there, everything has to be validated. That's what we are talking about. I have one person who's put a comment here, I'm bringing it here, Tarun.
Mhm.
So I have Mr. Rohit saying that Mr. Kumar and Mr. Malhotra for the sightful for he's thanking us for the session. With so many health companies offering work at home or remote opportunities, how can we ensure HIPAA compliance? That's a question that he has from Rohit.
Okay. So generally in HIPAA compliance, work from home was not, not basically from the client side. After this COVID, so client and, the other entities has give the relaxation to work from home. But after the COVID is over, but still companies is, providing the workforce to work from home, where has multiple things to be followed, because If they are have like working at home, they may have PHI in their laptop, their desktop. And as we work in HIPAA compliance culture, even the phone is not allowed in the production floor. There is a clean desk and clear desk policy. No pen, no paper allowed, because they think we may take a picture of the PHI, or we may note down the PHI data, and can be a breach, can be exposed. So there are multiple things to be take care of if it's a proper. So first of all, if client allowed for work from home, so there should be a few things to be followed. One is a DLP. If your data leakage prevention is on or not, if you have having some application for DLP. If you have DLP, if your employees try to fiddle out with your data, trying to send email or send data copy somewhere, you get the notification. First of all, it will not like employees not able to copy the data anywhere. you know so you have to configure the DLP, configure the permission level of the data to be managed within home. Then there should be a proper EDR XDR installed to monitor about any vulnerability or any kind of malware spam attacks. Because if employee working from the home network on the home Wi-Fi, so everything is open, all sites are open. So if they can visit maybe their social media account, their other kind of unwanted website, so maybe vulnerability can exit from there. So if you have proper EDR XDR, you can also block those kind of USB controls from there. You can block all unwanted websites. You can make a whitelisting, blacklisting at home also. You can create the same environment of the security culture which you're following at your office by deploying various tools like CrowdStrike provide that capability. There is a Sophos or Sentinel One or Zscaler also have some capability to. If you configure if you rightly configure your product, your application on your user's desktop or a laptop, and even you're working their home, you can make it controlled environment. And always try to connect your employee with a VPN, company VPN. Most of the time we have seen they have just shared the maybe any desk, or they are working on any desk on their office system, or maybe some other non-business ethics way. So always use VPN connected with your firewall, which is a control way. Implement DLP, EDR, XDR to control your USB to be blocked, and your web environment and all, and then you can provide the work from home capability.
Thank you for that, Tarun. Now, coming to the next pointer that I want to understand, what trends do you see shaping the future of privacy and compliance across industries? Any industry, you can take manufacturing, healthcare, because cybersecurity is a common pointer, and there are multiple points that you should be securing in each of the industry, right? So, how do we look at privacy and compliance across industry? Is one pointer that we want to understand from you.
Yeah, so privacy compliance goes hands on hand with cybersecurity. It's a component of cybersecurity, you can say. So if you take an example, now everything is going to be smart. IoT, IoT
Mm.
kind of thing is there. We have smart car, smartphone, we have smart TV. Whatever these things are getting smart, they have iOS in there. That they have some operating system. Until that, as I told you earlier, that operating system within the the device is safe. If it can be a crack or hacked by the any hackers, scammers, can be zero-day exploit. So in every field, if it's in the manufacturing unit, if it's in the production for their software development or any kind of KPO, BPO, they have to follow the cybersecurity compliance and culture. First of all, they have to look which compliance they come under. If it's a healthcare, they have to follow HIPAA. If it's in the work for European Union data, they have to follow GDPR. If it's the Indian data, now they have to follow under DBDB Act. You know, and with that compliance, they have to like make a cyber security framework align. It may be a COBIT from ISACA, which is a GRC framework, or they can also follow the NIST framework, which is a hardcore cyber security framework, which allow them to make them secure and compliant. So I think they company need to be define their policy procedures. So as I when we do audits, when we do like security programs also for for workshop or full day for the IT heads and all, so we always say them it should be documented each and everything. The privacy and compliance policy should be documented. What is the policy for your firewall? What is your EDR? When you update your patch, you know what HR policy is, when while the hiring, your background check verification policy, then induction program, the compliance awareness program. Is it what is the frequency for the compliance and privacy awareness program? 3 months, 6 months, or a year? You should maintain a attendance of each and everything. You should aware about your employees regularly to identify the spam email, spoof email, because we have seen cases where HR got the email from the CEO that I'm out of India, I'm abroad, I'm in urgency, I need this much amount, I have to buy some gift for my employees. And one client I have seen, one employee get the email from the CEO that I need, I think, 50,000 rupees, and the employee transfer also. My CEO is asking, he's in trouble, let me transfer. So compliance, privacy should, I mean, they have to sit regularly with the IT team and their departments, and they have to do brainstorming. So we are aligning with this compliance, and we are following the cybersecurity framework. And what are the frequency to be measures that we are compliant? It's a regularly check within the 15 days or like in month or 3 months, to check the things are keep aligned according to framework, according to the compliance.
One question has come from Sridhar Kramath. I'm bringing it here. It
Mhm.
says, AI in cybersecurity, your take, does it enhance prevention or exploitation?
Okay, so I always say that AI for cybersecurity and cybersecurity for AI. You know, so if the AI is there, so that required cybersecurity. If cybersecurity is there, it's required AI. Now, how? I give you a small example. I give almost in all my conferences and my when I speak on the stage and all. I was in California and I've seen hundreds of cars running, in there with which are
Hmm.
driverless cars. So we are coming in the age of now driverless car, which is how these cars are running through AI. Correct.
Yeah.
If that car is got compromised, can be a disaster, can be collide, can be into sea. Like
Hmm.
that somebody can manage with that or can control that. If it's compromised. So to protect that IoT kind of application, these kind of smart things, we required cybersecurity framework to be defined and designed. Whereas in infrastructure, if you heard about SIM and SOAR, you know, SIM, which is we have various tools. The popular tools are like Splunk, QRadar, NetWitness, Wazoo, Log360. So these tools are AI and ML enabled. So we deploy these tools on the infrastructure, IT infrastructure, and we will monitor the logs of each and every device. You know, they most of the attacks, if we see the history, are happened on the weekends when IT team was on leave. They are not. Nobody is there to be take care of servers. So this AI enabled tools like Splunk, Radar, NetWitness, so they will ingest the logs of these devices, IoT devices, or any kind of infrastructure devices in cloud and on premises. And these AI-based tool will investigate on the logs, which is the genuine log, which is a malicious log. Now, who will assure when attacker come to the network and try to attack it, you know, and if it's come from like maybe brute force attack, SQL injection attack, any kind of password sprays attack. So these AI enabled tools help us to provide the red flag, critical, high, medium, low, and according to that we will able to help our client to mitigate the risk on the spot. So that's why AI is required vice versa on both the ways.
Now, I have my point, Sridhar, on this is, uh, anything implemented, whether it is AI or any application, uh, we'll have to do an assessment before we getting it to the environment, whether we do it with AI or without AI. First, the security is to be checked. Now, when you bring AI, also AI is ethical considerations and the limitations also have to be set. It cannot take decisions without further approvals, right? And that context has to be put, saying that this is where the stage where it can take decisions. Beyond this, there is some pointers that AI has to have a human intervention coming up on getting something
Definitely.
approved, right? So that's what I will say when you talk about AI coming into cybersecurity. But my pointers on AI into cybersecurity is, if you have a strong ML model, or ML model which comes in, where you train that model to look at pointers which are very crucial, and you keep enhancing the learnings that is happening, which to a stage can do an automation job for you. If I'm asking what could be the number of hits that we've got, example, just giving you an example, what are the latest vulnerability lists that are there, and is our system patch? That way we can do a analysis and say these are the patches which are applied, these are priority ones, these are priority twos, and when do you want to apply it? You can put that as an automation, saying that during post hours, rather when the team is not available, when the business hours, off business hours, where you will implement. Then you can automate incident and response also, to an extent where known errors, you don't need human intervention, already that is there in the database. That kind of, then you can look at some of the pointers where you have already faced that, and you, the system has a info about and you don't know, you can search on that. When you go to that database, you'll get those pointers coming in. That's where I think AI is enabling cybersecurity, Sridhar. Now coming to that
No,
pointer
I
only,
can add
how
one
do
thing more in this. I
yeah,
can add one more thing in this.
yeah, sure,
So
go ahead.
as you say, AI is prevention, exploit both. As the example of deepfake, because of deepfake, a lot of people have got lost their money.
Yeah.
So I always address AI with like a knife,
Hmm, hmm.
because a knife can make a very good Caesar salad and can kill somebody also, right? Same
Yeah.
like a AI. So with AI, people are doing very good projects through using a chat GPT. But do we know that hackers have the hack GPT also, or warm GPT? They're making programs to do more sophisticated attacks on us. So it's a boon and bane always.
Now, where you have something as an innovation, people also have a place where they can how see how they can penetrate also. So prevention is one side. The other side, as Tarun rightly said, when you have the exploiters also coming in, where the hackers also look at AI to be used to see how they can hack into a system, while we try to look at how do we prevent the attacks, right? That way it is a double-edged sword, as you rightly said. Knife can be used both ways. Pointer there taken, Tarun. Now how do you foresee AI playing a role of automation and reinforcing data privacy as a leader?
Okay. So, like as I told you that there are tools available which through which we can do security risk assessment and management of like logs to be ingest and to be investigate. So there are some GRC tools are also coming up in the market through which we can align our compliance, and we can just make sure that we have policy intact, we are following the things accordingly. But human intervention is always required, as you also just suggest. AI cannot take all over all the things, because it may be a false positive or a false
Yeah.
statement sometime. So who is going to assure that if it's a false positive, right? So human intervention is required, and yes, for that, AI now we are using in our business. Most of the people using in their business, but use AI with cautiously, because it can also be some kind of like a problem or a disaster if you're just dependent on the AI and not taking the human intervention. That is always required.
No, your point is very valid there, Tarun. When see, let's make things very simple when it is coming to AI. See, AI is an enabler, like what we can do. You can, how you train the model depends on how it gets implemented also. If there is
Right.
a wrong data which is being fed to the model and you have that being implemented, you will get lot of issues because the data itself is wrong. Now you train that model, test that model, and see how it responds, and then get it onto the platform. It can be a game changer, right? So lot of things have been automated in terms of how to, now if you look at agentic AI itself is where you can train a model where it acts like an agent for you, right? And it works for you. Now how do you train that agent? What is the model data which is getting fed? It has to be very clear and clearly monitored what kind of data it's getting fed. That's what is my take on that. Coming to our personal way of looking at, Tarun, how do you stay ahead where privacy laws are changing, tech trends are changing, but people understanding privacy laws and tech trends is not at the same pace what it is growing as on today, right? So your take on it, and on the personal way, how do you say people should look at and learn on a regular basis on these changing privacy laws and trends? Your take on these pointers, Tarun.
Yeah. If you talk about DPDP Act, or because it's going to be implemented soon within the nation.
Hmm.
So, government has already released the first copy of the DPDP Act. So I have gone through all the aspects, and I always say if we are working in India, and if somebody who have the data and which is playing with the data within the organization should be regularly updated with these regulatory laws, by keep them updating on checking on maybe the government sites, or the content which is available. And same as goes with the HIPAA also. HIPAA laws always keep on changing. They have introduced sometime new code of their ethics to be follow, and there multiple codes are there available to be HIPAA also. So to be get aware of our clients, our customers, and to be implement those controls and policies for them, an updated way is also required. So for that, personally, I also keep doing these things. Recently I did completed my diploma in cyber law from the Asian School of this cyber law. And right now I'm also going through for this Data Protection Act certification. So this is a regular practice to keep checking the things. And if the organizations are data driven, so they also must keep updating their data compliance, and the new rules are introduced, and how to manage the data is the ongoing practice. So that is a thing which need to be regularly keep us updating, and updating our clients and our organizations to work on within data driven business.
Now, now what we are talking again is on AI and other pointers, right, Tarun?
Mhm.
Now, coming back to pointers where AI is coming in, how do organizations keep a human interface or a champion who can look at what is coming as an AI and how cybersecurity is uh, implemented using AI inside the organization? What is your suggestion in terms of helping them and telling them how it can be done?
Okay, so for that, I think the framework is already defined, which is called red teaming, blue teaming, and the gray teaming. This
Hmm.
is term red, blue, or maybe one or the other is there. So red teaming is always which is work on the defensive, this offensive side of the organization security. So we have to be create some leaders or some experts within the organizations who will take care of the offensive side of the organizations. If somebody try to attack, what is the new ways to defend it. Then there's a blue teaming, which is going to be a defensive side, who do a defending things within the within the infrastructure. One, so cyber security, we can define, one is outside, somebody sitting outside and try to intrude within the network. One is a team sitting inside. So we have to make the team align, and we have to align and educate and aware about the teams with the regular training process. Technical trainings are required, And within the the AI tools, or as I told you, the Splunk, Radar, NetWitness are the tools which AI enables. And then the regulation, how we can regulate the compliance within these tools, how we can implement our EDR policy or XDR policies, to be defined, or data leak prevention or DLP policies and all. So awareness, training, and deployment of right resource is required to protect the organization from these kind of attacks, and keep the company ahead from these kind of techniques and things from the hacker side.
Uh, we are running short of time. I will jump into few pointers only with one or two things that we want to look at. How can we look at personal, and there's a difference, right? When you have corporate and
Mhm.
personal worlds, there is a difference in data. How do we look at metrics is what should leaders should track, ensuring privacy is truly embedded into the organization as a DNA, right? Now, what would be those on personal front and what should be on the corporate world?
So, one thing I always tell to people, like, stop, think, and connect. Whatever you see on your screen, just stop and think. If it's for you, if it's from the unknown source, why somebody sending you that message,
Hmm.
and then keep a check on that, and then react or act, then connect. So this is a thumb rule have to follow. It can be a universal rule we can apply on the personal security, even in the corporate security or too. If you get any email or messages which is asking for something to be a favor or some sensitive information, so then apply zero trust on that. Always verify. Don't trust. Always verify, because everybody is getting, as a personal security we talk about, everybody is getting messages on phone. Sometimes I also get message on phone where they are offering a loan. You have approved 6 lakh rupees or 60,000 rupees loan or something like that. Just click on this link and you will get the money. But
Yeah.
just clicking on that link, and why somebody is offering me that loan? I have never applied it. You know, or if sometime we'll get a message on the WhatsApp. Nowadays people are, sometimes like scammers pick the CEO picture from the LinkedIn,
Yeah.
and they will just put it on the WhatsApp, and they say, oh, I'm somewhere and my phone is breakdown, and I was just sending you from the some other number, I want this favor. So always verify, stop, think, and connect. That is the thumb rule. And start implementing zero trust principle in your organization, even in the personal security also. Because if you see, almost and the biggest thing is, the scammers and hackers, they are not they are not compromising the device, they're compromising the human psychology. And they just want to click on the link, and from the link they will play anything, because they will install malware, spyware behind the scene without knowing the person. And from there, data leak can be happen. That can be a financial fraud, then can be there can be anything from that. So always think, stop, think, and connect.
With this, I think, Tarun, we are on top of that. I would like to summarize on what we discussed as a part today. Now, we started with realizing the privacy paradigm shift, where we spoke about company culture, how it should be looked at as a checkbox event. Then we spoke about privacy as a policy. It should be a mindset because everybody should think about it. How organizations should look at privacy frameworks like GDPR and DPDP is what we spoke about. Then we spoke about some of the moments where we had a misstep and that could become a valuable lesson. That is what we spoke about
Mhm.
on experience of wisdom and human centric insights. Coming to the third point, we spoke about some of the pitfalls where being compliant on paper and how it is to be built as spots in the organizations that face uh, compliance as a requirement and follow strict rules is what we spoke about. We spoke about startups and MSMEs on privacy data without large compliance budgets. That's what we spoke about. Some myths about privacy and compliance is what we spoke about. Then we spoke about some of the global privacy laws like GDPR, CCPA, HIPAA, DPDP is what we spoke about. Then we spoke few pointers on strategy and stuff like that, right? So these are the pointers that we discussed in a 1 hour session. The hour went just like that, and we are on top of the hour
Yeah.
at the moment. And any final pointers that you want to put across, talking more to be looked at cybersecurity is, uh, my pointer is you should look at digital assets and secure them. Your take on those personal and corporate assets that they have to look at as a final word, Tarun, before we
Yeah.
conclude.
So as we are living in a digital era, so we are so much digitally connected. We have laptop, phones, on the gadgets, which are connected through internet. So always, for the organization part, always take look on your security aspect, your security parameters. Keep aligning with the latest trends which is going on. Keep updated your team and follow the cybersecurity framework and compliance religiously. Don't rely that you are safe, but as I said, we are 99.9% safe, because it's a keep doing it's a ongoing task, for maybe every day, every week, or every month. So keep following that, the security aspect, security culture. And of personal security, I always say that don't believe on the things, because don't play with the psychology of the you're playing by the hackers by putting in the greed or urgency or fear factor. Always stop, think, and then connect, and then respond.
Thank you, Tarun. Thank you for that. And with this, we would like to conclude our session for the day. And we would like to thank everybody who's joined our session today. We have streamed this on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook at the moment. And hope this discussion was valuable. And thank you for joining us. Our next podcast is about the 245th episode. That is a solo podcast that I'll be doing tomorrow, the rise of the fractional executive, which is going to talk more about how executives are looked at fractional pointers at the moment, and how we can look at having a fractional executive at each level. At the C-suite level is what we are talking about tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Looking forward to see you again there. Good day and bye. Tarun,
Thank you.
thank you for being here. It's great having you, sir. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Prem, and it's an honor to be there in your podcast channel. And I hope we have shared a few knowledgeable things with your viewers, and they will keep following the security culture and aspect.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Tarun.